I've been doing push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Yoakley on this side, and on the other side, two of the cleanest cut gentlemen you will ever see on this side of the Mississippi, the most eligible bachelors on YSN. It is Richie Giuliano and Scotty Mencher. Boys, how we doing?
Great. I'm good, although Richie, he's a baby compared to me.
Oh, would you stop it?
More of that you going for him. But
you got the captain's hat. That's all that matters.
I do have the captain's hat.
You're running the captaincy of this ship today, huh?
Yeah,
I like it.
I guess, and I had to get a nice picture.
You did in front of the door.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't think of that first day here, but better late than never.
Amen, brother. Amen. We got a lot to talk about, Scotty. You're running the ship today, literally, because we're in your world. You're giving us the topics, and we're gonna address it here on YSN after we get to a little bit of local sports that happened last night, and of course on this day in sports history. What do you say we get started, boys? Let's roll it. There it is. All right, so on this day in sports history, July 13th, 1979. All right, Richie, I know you're going to appreciate this. Leafs, Nolan Ryan, and what the hell is Khalif? It's California, isn't it? California Angels. Nolan Ryan and Boston Steve Renko. What the hell's Khalif? Got me. They each lose a no-hitter in the ninth inning. They each... Nolan Ryan, Steve Renko, both lose a no-hitter in the ninth inning. Okay, so from that standpoint, what is more devastating? At that point, does it even matter? Do you even care about winning the game as much as you do about keeping that no-hitter?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, usually when a pitcher's going into a no-hitter, he's probably a surplus of 100-some pitches. Mm-hmm. So you're probably thinking in your head, I'm going until I give up that one hit. And usually – especially now in July, if it's a no-hitter through the 8th and the 9th inning, they have built up the stamina and the arm strength to where they could probably throw the game even if they give up a hit or two. So, earlier in the season, as a pitcher, you're always thinking, if I give up this hit, my outing's done. Because in the first month or two, the pitching coaches want to preserve their arm, so they're fine towards the end of the year. But, now that we're kind of halfway through the MLB season, a lot of the pitching coaches and managers are like, you know what, we're going to let this guy ride it out either way. So, he's probably still pitching after that no-hitter was distinguished. And, it's probably devastating for him because he's got the one hit on his mind. And after that, you're probably thinking, you know what, I don't even care what I do the rest of this game. They got the hit. All I was going for was a no-hitter. And, it's probably a 6-7-0 game.
Look at Nolan. All right, so Nolan Ryan was a unicorn. I just looked up because you said that you get to a point and you're going to pull him, right? Yeah. Nolan Ryan in 1974 threw 235 pitches in a game.
So they're not going to pull him. So he was going to throw either way.
His arm's going to fall off.
So he was going to throw either way, whether he gave up that hit or not. But, nowadays as a pitcher, if you're throwing that no-hitter in the ninth inning and you give up that hit, you're probably –
Can you imagine getting to 150 and they're like, hey, we're going to take you out, and you go, there's some cat on the mound that goes, I got 235 in me.
I'll tell you one thing though, with the technology,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
all the advancements in Major League Baseball nowadays, if a pitching coach and a manager would let a pitcher get to that many pitches, the GM is going to be calling and the owner is going to be calling after the game saying, "What are we doing here, guys?"
Nolan
what are we
Ryan will
doing?
fight you.
And the union's probably going to go after you too.
True.
The MLB union probably going to have a say in that.
That's very, very true. Scotty?
Is Nolan Ryan, is he majority owner of the Rangers?
No, I think he's the Express. He owns that team, the minor league team.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I thought like this was like years ago, and so it might have been the one year when the Rangers made the World Series, like it got 7-gamer against St. Louis. But I think there was an article in Sports Illustrated. They were talking about Nolan Ryan on a.
All right, yeah. So I Googled it real quick, and basically it boils down to Ryan was a member of the ownership group that purchased the Rangers in 2010. 2011, he became the CEO of the Rangers. 2 years later, gave up his title of president of the team. At the end of 2013, he resigned as CEO and sold his stake in the Rangers.
Okay, so he sold it. But anyway, where I was getting at is I think he said like not too long ago, this might have been, 10 years ago or so, but not like, a long, long time ago. He said he didn't believe in like pitch counts and stuff like that. And when
I believe
you given that stat saying he threw 235, I could see why.
So now it's got me wondering, Nolan Ryan top pitch counts, right? Most
what has he thrown?
pitches
Most pitches in a game
ever thrown in a game. What are we gonna have here? What do you think?
That's a
235. Has anybody ever pitched a 27 pitch game?
Look at that. Look at the stat under that though. Nolan Ryan became the first major league pitcher to have his pitch speed ever recorded in a baseball game.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So we're gonna have to dive into that later and
Yeah.
maybe talk about it on Friday, because I kind of want to read up on that article and see how that transpired throughout that 235 pitch count game.
Oh, I'm sure. Can you imagine what he's throwing at pitch 235?
Yeah, like
79.
yeah.
I mean, it's
Gotta be
probably
longer than
It's
that.
probably 95 still.
And not to make, no matter what, that's like an absurd. Like, I didn't think there was anybody that hit 200 pitches ever, let alone 235.
Listen, Nolan Ryan was one of the coolest cats ever. And I got to see the back end of his career. And I thought, I wasn't a pitcher guy. I was always a catcher guy or shortstop. And I just remember when Nolan Ryan, just seeing videos of Nolan Ryan and was it Robin Yount or Robin Ventura get into it. And Ryan just hammer fisted Ventura because he charged him out. I've never seen a pitcher that actually was like fighting.
Defends himself.
Usually everybody comes in or the catcher or whatever. Nolan Ryan was like, let's go. Let's do it. And Ventura came out and got his ass whooped. Like it wasn't even close. He's all bloodied up and stitched up. And Nolan Ryan bloodied up. There's pictures of it. I'm sure you guys have seen it. He's bloodied up. He's got blood on his White Rangers uniform. And he went back and pitched.
It's like Kurt Schilling.
That is a bad, except for
it
wasn't a bloody sock. Yeah, Kurt Schilling had surgery before that.
I think it was something wrong with his.
Yeah,
he's
that's
tough as nails.
It's crazy because he threw like 7 no-hitters.
Never won a Cy Young.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. But that's like when I think of Nolan Ryan, that always automatically comes to mind. That fight with.
To me, one of the best pitchers of all time, and he didn't get near the recognition that he deserved. I don't think baseball liked him, to be honest with you, at that point. But
obviously, if he's not winning any Cy Young, on 7 no-hitters in his career.
Yeah. All right, Scotty, take the steering wheel. Where are we going today?
Well, I thought, and I talked with you, DJ.
Don't put this on me.
A little bit about it. We discussed it briefly off the air, but I kind of wanted to go and look at, since it's baseball season and, we've had a lot going on, a lot happening Boardman capturing a state crown in Little League. But I wanted to look at in my time on Running Point with Anthony and Todd recently, we were talking about pitch counts and how the game is just different high school level here locally in comparison to the major leagues. I just wanted to talk about it seems like the starters in Major League Baseball, starters and legitimate true aces are becoming less and less important. And it seems to me the game has evolved to, having these great bullpen, and the bullpen is more impactful than anything. But I just wanted to know, for you guys, like, to me, it seems like on the high school level, like, starters are extremely important. Why do you think there's such a big? Is it exclusively because you got less bodies to work with on the high school level? And what do you guys think about this?
You want to start, Richie?
So is the question why starting pitching is more important at the high school level than
what's the major difference?
The major difference. Okay. Well, I still think that Major League pitching is very valuable when you look at the contracts that they're getting. Starting pitching, when it comes to free agency and the trade market, still one of the top priorities in the league. When you look at it, and you still pay your starting pitchers the highest. Like when the Nationals won their World Series a couple of years ago, they had the highest paid starting rotation in all of Major League Baseball. So I still think there is a lot of importance to the starting pitching in major leagues. But, in high school ball, you've got that one kid that is just a dominant pitcher, right? And what's nice about high school baseball, especially once you get to the district tournament, is the games are so spaced out. And that allows you to throw that one pitcher or two pitchers that you have throughout the tournament instead of ranging deep into your 5-man rotation, right? So, when you see, for instance, two guys that continue to throw from district to regional to state, because you only need 2 games in regional. So you're going to throw your 1, and then you're going to throw your 2, and that's all you're going to need. You get the state, you're going to throw your 1, you're going to throw your 2, or vice versa, whatever one that coach wants to put out there. And I think that's why high school pitching is more valuable, because if you got that one guy that's a workforce, and especially here in Northeast Ohio with all the cancellations, if you play Monday, you're scheduled to play Wednesday, that game gets canceled, you play Friday, who are you going to throw? You're going to throw your number 1 again. So I think that's why it's more valuable, because of how much of a space gap there is between games.
I think that's a great point. And Sigler makes a great point here too. He says, we saw it in Little League, how pitch counts dictate and how much pitching depth matters. Because especially, you talk about the big leagues, everybody is a specialist, right? You're a starting pitcher. You're a long relief. You're a middle reliever. You're a closer. You're a setup man, whatever it may be. You are a specialist. Specialists get paid more than just regular dudes. Long relief pitchers, those front end of the bullpen guys, they're not going to get paid like the closers do, like the starters do, because those are the guys that management has dictated. You're good enough to pitch for us. You're not good enough to start, and you're not a guy we want to rely on every day. But mop-up duty and maybe some long inning situations will lean on you. You don't have that in high school.
No, it's one guy, because the game's only 7 innings. You throw one guy, and you got your 1, and then you got your 2 that you're saving for the next game, and then you got your closer. So there's really 3 or 4 pitchers that you throw in high school. And when you look at a college bullpen, there's 10 to 15 guys in the college bullpen,
and they're still figuring out what they're good at.
They're still figuring out what they're good at, and then you get to Major League Baseball, where you're limited on a roster, so you have to have specialists, like you said, in the front end, and then your back end obviously gets paid because they're usually the best guys, and they're the guys that'll close it out.
Well, it's the same way. If you look at it, and not to flip it over to the position players, but a second baseman that hits 7th or 8th in the lineup in the major leagues is not going to get paid as much as the shortstop who bats 3rd and is the main guy on your team. It's just how it is. For me, high school pitching is so intriguing because it can change from the beginning to the middle to the end. And coaches a lot of times now are going to go with the hot hand. So if your ace isn't living up to that in the beginning of the season, you can move him out, and he's not your 1 or 2 guy that faces off against the conference teams. He's your guy that faces the non-conference teams. Maybe get him some confidence back, and he could be once again your ace when you head into the postseason if he gets things kicked into gear. That doesn't happen in the major leagues too often. Usually you either ride with them or die with them, or you boot them out or trade them. So for me, when you're talking about starting pitching especially, it's incredibly important in high school because these kids are going to go hopefully 5 innings, right? Before you get to your bullpen, and maybe, you have a specialty closer that can come in and finish it out for you. But in professional baseball, listen, we do it all the time on the show, right? If you get cracked for 7 runs in the first, that guy's gone.
They're done.
He's toast. And you can dip into the bullpen, and you still don't really get crushed for the rest of that week. Mm-hmm. You can still survive with one guy getting an inning here, there, everywhere, and then you move on to the next game and you just go to the starter.
Yep.
So it's great question. I love
this topic because, Major League Baseball is played every single night. And sometimes you're playing 2 a night, depending on if you have a doubleheader, and it's a rarity to see a break in the schedule. Yep. So that's why I think high school starting pitching can be so dominant because you could throw that guy twice a week. Now, when you're playing Major League Baseball and you're playing every day, you're going to see that 4 or 5 man rotation throughout the week.
Well, here's the one key that we're kind of skipping over here. You remember back in my day, way back when we played baseball with sticks and yarn, we played. Let's say we played Columbiana in early April. We might not play them again until the first week in May. Now they have it. It's back-to-backs because what they figured out is, okay, if it's a really good team, you're going to save your ace for that team. They don't want you facing aces twice in a season. Yeah. They want it back-to-back so that way, okay, let's see the better team, the actual better team wins. We want to see your 1s, we want to see your 2s against each other. And now it's, if you play Columbia on a Thursday, you play Columbia on a Friday. And you might get lucky, like you said, Rich, get a rain out, and then you can save your number 1 and go again.
Yeah.
But mostly now you have to have 2 pitchers.
Gotta have 2 at least.
And 2 starters, 2 guys that can go the distance. Because we've seen, especially this year, I think more than most, we've seen seasons wrecked because of weather, because you're trying to get these games in and you just get them in, plug them in wherever you can. It's not like, hey, we're going to wait a day and then go. It's, hey, we already have 6 games lined up. And you don't want to, again, if you're a high school athletic director and you're working with your high school baseball coach, you don't want to go 6 games in a row because you won't have any pitching left. And then you got to fight injuries and all that stuff. It's a very, very interesting dance that athletic directors and baseball coaches have to do in order to space out, because there's some teams in our area that have 1 pitcher and everybody else just throws. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And there's a difference between pitching and throwing. Rich, you know the difference. Talk to me about it.
I mean, pitching, obviously, and we've seen it. If you go down to the Youngstown Class B Baseball League, you're going to see that because there's so many games playing. You're going to have pitchers where, they know how to locate. They've got good stuff. They got a slider and a curveball in their arsenal. And then you got guys that just go out there and, they want to throw and they just want to throw hard. And that's about it. That's all they care about. They don't really know how to locate really well. They don't have multiple pitches that they could go to. A lot of 4-seam heavy and just maybe a changeup that's pretty much they're throwing it softer than what they throw their fastball. So
I don't want to blow anybody's cover here, but raise your hand if you have 2 NCAA strikeouts on your pitching record. Right here, baby.
What was the score?
Oh, it was bad. It was like
nothing.
It was like 13-0 in the 4th inning, and coach goes, "Yoakley, you're in." I got to go warm up in the bullpen. Like I'm usually catching that bullpen, right? So and my slow ass curveball over the top. I got some kid to swing and whiff on it, and then I got a little bit of confidence. So then I'm throwing, and I throw like a catcher, man. I come here, and a 2-seamer was just cutting nasty that day. Oh yeah. So I got 2 strikeouts, and then some dude they just went gap to gap on me the rest of the way. And I was like, all right, well, I finished this one up, coach. But yeah, little known knowledge about DJ Oakley is I got 2 strikeouts, and I only have 1 strikeout against me. I've only struck out once in college. Yep. So
that's an insane number.
Yes, sir. Hey, I'm taking that one to the grave.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you have something to really hang your hat on.
Basically, I was the Shohei Ohtani of Westminster College that year.
Now, do you remember your strikeout?
Oh yeah, it was terrible. It was. They made me look silly.
Did you have a nickname or anything in college?
Bullpen catcher.
He's the Eggman.
The Eggman. Oh, here we go. No, college. I mean, I didn't get the playing time that I necessarily wanted, and that's one of those things that but I loved it. I love being part of that team, and that's one of the things that most people don't survive is. And I didn't. I'll be honest. I quit going in my junior year because I thought I deserved a spot. I worked hard, and I said I got better opportunities in broadcasting. I didn't even finish off the year. I was heartbroken. Yeah. We talk about how everybody expects that Disney moment, to walk off and have it. Not everybody gets that, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't absolutely just want to go back in time and say finish it out. Finish it out. Be that guy. You don't want to be a quitter. You don't want to be that guy. But it happened and you live with it. And then you just kind of turn the page and learn from that mistake. And, I wish I had more baseball because especially as a catcher, your body's banged up. You get to 25 and if you're still playing, you're hurting.
Yeah.
Right. I'm 37 now and my knees are just absolutely shot from all the years of catching. But if I could go back while they were still strong and I wish I could just catch one more game. Yeah. I love people. They joke about it. We talk about it all the time on the broadcast. I loved catching more than anything. The passion that I had for catching a baseball game, it's something that I wish I could bottle up for everybody else. All the prep. I mean, you're a prep guy. When you put that much work into it and you get something out of it, it's addicting.
Yeah.
It's addicting. But catching bullpens is all right, fastball, clap, curveball, clap. All right, got it. And then it turns into you're almost like a quasi pitching coach. And you're yeah, your shoulder was too far that way. Not what I wanted.
Yeah.
You missed the game. You missed the element of and I'll be 100% honest about this. I called all my pitches from the time I was 10 years old to the time I was 18 years old. And when they take that away from you, it takes something away from your game. Yeah. A little bit of the pride out of it. Pitchers, that's the other thing that people don't understand. You don't shake off pitches in college. You do it because your coach is telling you to throw that pitch. That's the pitch. Because if you say no to a curveball, throw a fastball, and it goes 800 feet through center field,
you're done.
Bye. You might not get the ball for a while.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't like it. It's that I think that coaches have lost some of the trust in their players. And, going back to our topic of starting pitching, in high school against starting pitching in the major leagues, those guys are paid a lot of money to call those pitches. Yeah. And Yadi Molina still calls his pitches. But I think that coaches have taken a lot of the fun out of the game because a catcher sees a lot more than a coach does. They see tendencies. They see, you can have all the cameras you want in the world, but you don't get the angle that a catcher does or a pitcher does. Yep. You can't tell what a pitcher's arm feels like at that time. And a pitcher's not going to tell you that his arm hurts.
No.
Just never going to happen. High school, they will, because quickly the velocity's down, something's wrong. In the pros, they can fake that. One of those things. Then a trainer sees it and yada, yada, yada. But yeah, I think that, from that standpoint to kind of bring it all back, Scotty, I think that the specialists is the difference. There's no real specialists. Sometimes, maybe the off time, you get one or two specialists. I'm going to be a PO only. Yeah. PO being a pitcher only. But most of the time, these guys are playing first base or they're playing shortstop or they're your catchers. The one rule that I want to talk about is the catching rule in Little League. And I think it's a really interesting one. So in Little League, you cannot, what is it? It was 41 pitches at the 12U level. And last night we learned that it is 3 innings at the 10U level. If you're catching for 3 innings, you can't pitch.
Really?
If you catch more than 40 pitches and the 12U level, you can't pitch.
That's interesting.
I love it because finally they're looking out a little bit for catchers.
Their arms, yeah.
Because these kids were, a lot of these catchers, right? You steal a base, your strongest arm's behind the dish because you're chucking it down to second base.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the lollipops that you know, in Little League, not necessarily in the district tournament, but some of these kids are lollipopping it. They can stop the ball. They just can't throw it. They're not strong enough and developed enough to throw it. And then you've got these other kids that are 6'3" at 12 years old and are throwing downhill at second base at what is that, 70 feet, something like that, you know, from home plate.
Home plate to second, yeah.
Yeah, so it's crazy. But I love the rule, probably my favorite rule that I've discovered so far about Little League.
Know
that if you're in 3 innings, you can't start a 4th inning and catch or in pitch from catcher, and you can't be 41 pitches and go pitch yourself. So interesting stuff. Probably for me, one of the most interesting rules outside of this one. And I want you to tell me what you feel about this one. It used to be in Little League, you had to play 2 innings in the field.
Yeah.
Okay. And get 1 at bat. If you have 13 guys on your team, you only have to bat.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about the field. Do you guys like that rule, or do you see a little bit of coaches' influence in this rule of, hey, I don't really want to play little Jimmy and 3 other of his friends in the field for 2 innings because it's going to cost us?
But I also think, like, on the flip side of that, so if you got 4 guys on your bench, right, and you got to bat them once, and a 6-inning game, that's 18 outs that you have, right? That's 4 guys you got to send up to the plate at least one time.
Yep.
So, I mean, if you don't trust them to go to the plate and hit, then you can't trust them to go out in the field and play their position as well.
But it's Little League. And the argument is you shouldn't be worried about that stuff at this point. You should be worried about development and letting everybody play. The argument about wins and losses, I don't buy, because I mean, we had T-ball parents that were keeping score in our T-ball games this year. And I shake my head at that. But the reality is exactly. but the reality is somebody's always going to be keeping score. Yeah. It's metrics. People are obsessed with metrics. But are we losing sight of what Little League is all about by only allowing those kids to bat and not play 2 innings?
That's a good point.
You know, how are they going to get better if they never get any experience in the field?
Well, maybe I hate to say this, maybe they should cut down the roster to a limit of 12 or 11 guys on the roster. Because then you would be able to play each guy in the field 2 innings.
I think baseball, too. I mean, I talked a little bit about this. I think it was on a show a couple of weeks ago. But I think, like, baseball, like, I think maybe more than any other sport, you learn the most from failing. Like,
sure.
Because in baseball, we've talked about it plenty of times on the Power Hour, like, you're successful 30% of the time when you're at the plate. You're one of the best players. So, like, I just think you learn more on the field and even about life when you fail and have hardships. It's valuable.
I just want to think it sucks that you don't get a chance. You know, like, I remember that for me, and here's Siggy chiming in, I'll bet you he's thinking the same thing. Pulling subs came in huge last night in the last inning. Sat there the entire game, right? And that's big. That's really, really big. And they were big at the plate. But the problem was they didn't have to play the field.
They get 1 at bat in the 6th inning and they're done.
That's it. So that's their game. The point, and I get it. Here's the conundrum for me is that when I was in All-Stars and we had I take that back. We did have Little League affiliation. You were 11 and 12, right? Or 9 and 10. Whereas now it's 9U, 10U, 11U, 12U. And I think it takes away from, they want these districts to get better, to be more competitive, to not see the same teams over again. That's at least what I've been hearing. Some of these communities do not have the resources to have a 9, 10, 11, and 12 team. And you're allowed to combine them, right? So if, like we saw, Pizzullo is 7.
Yeah.
And he's on the 9U team, which I think is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think they're going to be able to compete, because look at Boardman. Boardman can essentially, with the amount of kids that they have, Canfield's in the same boat, I think, as is Poland, who, by the way, in all 4 championship games so far. Well, not so far. They have been in all 4 championship games. So congratulations to them. But one thing that I saw last night that I was really impressed with, guys, Canfield. We pumped up Cam Koenig. We pumped up Toot. We pumped up Kibbe, the top 3 hitters in their lineup. But it was a young man batting in like the 6th spot, Jake Smith, who came through 3 for 3, got the game-winning RBI, got pulled in the middle of the game for a substitution, and came back and won the game when he got subbed back into the game. That says something to me, that these kids might be a little bit more resilient than we're giving them credit for.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the determination comes down to the parents, at the end of the day. And I think a lot of parents have their hands in who's picked for this all-star game. And I think it's really political in some communities. And I think that's the problem with it a lot of the time.
I don't disagree with you.
I think that's why, maybe you have that 13th guy, because somebody, the head coach or somebody knows so-and-so, and they got to be on the team.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about umpires and parents at these tournaments, because it needs to be addressed again. It was chaos this week with some of these parents and some of the mutterings that you hear. And we're just going to give you a little bit of etiquette, a little bit of a refresher course on how to treat umpires of Little League tournaments when we come back on the Ysn Power Hour, brought to you by these great sponsors. Reliability, innovation, scale. These 3 values are those we look forward to in our business and in our team. If you're ready for a reliable employer who looks constantly to think outside the box in big ways, we're ready for you. Apply now. Help us push the envelope and deliver success. Envelope 1. Take that one extra step.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun, it all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ysn Power Hour for this Wednesday. All right, so before the break, I teased it a little bit. The umpire and fan, let's just put it just fan relationship. Last night, unbelievable games. We've had unbelievable games for the championships across the board. One if game out of it, but the other 3 have been walk-offs. How can you argue with that? I understand the heartbreak in losing a game like that, the humility that you have to show. However, please, 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 please stop blaming the umpires. Stop putting it on their plate. I just want to remind you that Little League umpires in this tournament are not paid.
Yeah, they're all volunteers.
All volunteers. Not a dime. They had 6 umpires the other night for one game.
Really?
6.
It's like a Major League All-Star game.
Every other game, at least 4.
Wow. And, I was talking with Mr. Cooper, who you got to interview, the administrator for Little League. And, he was telling me about one particular umpire, and he didn't name him, but
Yep.
Of course he didn't want to be named, but he gave up 2 pony games for $100 each to go umpire a Little League game just because, 1, he made the commitment prior, and 2, because he said he loves to do it.
And if you don't, I wish everybody got to go and sit where we sit because you get to talk to these umpires. Guys like Greg Giannis, Harry Groner, Kelly Dine, who's a superb. And listen, she's going through some things in her personal life right now that nobody should have to go through. And she still has a smile on her face and volunteering her time to be with the kids from our community. She's not, to my knowledge, from here. And these people, these fans, I should calm down. Because the one thing that I have a problem with from that standpoint is when you become venomous in the crowd, the kids on the field then feel like they can do the same thing.
They feed off of it almost.
They're so impressionable at 9, 10, 11, 12 years old that if somebody's doing it or saying something in the crowd, these kids feel like they can say it. They see it on TV. They see the pros doing it. We can't preach to the pros because, listen,
they get paid to do it.
They're millionaires. Yeah. It's entertainment. It's engagement. It gets us talking. We should not see it from our young ones. Parents are almost giving a free ticket, a get-out-of-jail-free card, the second they do it. Last night, I'm walking through the crowd trying to get some of the things out of there, and I hear, well, we can't beat the team and the umpires. No, you can't because you don't play against the umpires. The reality is somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. That's part of sports. Yep. Read the Little League pledge. It's one of those things where I will do my best. Guess what? Sometimes your best isn't good enough. And that's why baseball's so great because you can go back and play again tomorrow. Yep. And most of these kids are going to play again at some point, travel ball, another tournament, whatever. And some of them, their season may come to an end. But the problem I see right now is everybody thinks that they deserve to win, even though they don't execute. I mean, both of those teams, no matter which game you're talking about, had equal opportunities. The umpires, and I can be honest with you, sometimes umpires blow calls, but sometimes they don't. A lot of times they don't. And still, they get a hard time. I mean, I've seen at least 3 occasions this week that umpires have had to warn fans or else they're getting tossed from a Little League game. There's no scouts there.
No.
There's 6 umpires. How many scouts do you think were in the stands?
Goose egg.
No, what are we doing? Explain, Scotty, if you've got a kid on the baseball field, are you giving the umpire hell?
No way. I mean, human error, it's part of the game. That's why, not to get too far off topic, but I'm not really crazy about the idea of in the majors going to the computer
umpire bots,
robot umpires. Because I think human error it makes in a lot of ways it adds intrigue to the game too. I just don't get it. I really don't, especially on that level. It's like you guys said, these umps are volunteering their time for free. They're not even getting paid.
No.
So it just I don't know. It is a really bad message. You said we can do anything about the pros, like when they for things that they do that
Mhm.
may not look good, set a bad example for the youth. But to like for 9 to 12, 13-year-olds, however old they are, if you're sending a message that, the ump is the enemy and you go out and you could just do whatever you want and, show up the umpire or
It shows zero
Or you-
accountability. Am I
Yeah.
wrong? Like that's what you're trying to get to. It's zero accountability because every mistake that your son or daughter makes, you can blame it on the
You blame it on
umpires.
somebody else, yeah.
And I don't think that's the way you want to go. And kids will take this not just from their days as a baseball or softball player, but they'll take this into school. They'll take this into their home. If they're not doing their homework, well, that's mom and dad's fault because I don't have time to do it or I don't have the resources to do it. What you're encouraging through sports will come back and haunt you in several different facets of life.
And it kind of goes back to what we talked a couple weeks ago on the show. In today's society, like a lot of people, they want a trophy, but they don't want to put the work in to get that trophy. They want that same opportunity, same shot. They want to start at the same place.
They want championship rewards without championship effort.
Yeah.
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 You ready
That's
for
what
this,
I'm
buddy?
getting at.
You ready for this? You
Yes.
know who
This
chimed
might
in.
Fill up the entire screen.
Here we go. Look out. I feel like Wilson from
I gotta climb
Toolman.
the ladder here.
Oh, Radar. Hi, guys. This is Radar. I'm really looking forward to joining the YSN high school football broadcast team. Yes, I do have a passion for local sports, especially high school football. Scotty and Richard, I have a question for you.
Both of you.
Richard. I thought I was the only one that called you Richard. I have a question
You
for
are.
both of yous. How do you guys view local Little League baseball after those 9U, 10U, 11U, and 12U local title games the last two nights, especially the Canfield Poland 10U title game?
I think, Little League Baseball, and it's always been this way because, I was able to take the trip down to Williamsport a couple of years when I was a kid. And
No kidding.
to be able to go to the Little League World Series. And I've always adored Little League Baseball just because of how precious it actually is. And it really shows the true love for the game. And, what Little League is all about is about having fun and teaching the kids to play the game the right way. So I've always had a soft spot for Little League Baseball. And, I love what it is because, you get up to minor leagues and you get up to the professional level and you see a lot of things. And these guys are competing for paychecks, but, the little kids are out there for an ice cream cone after the game. So, it really just shows the true passion and the game that the way the game that should be played.
Raise your hand if you're getting ice cream cone after tonight's game. Hands
Oh man,
down.
I gotta get some ice cream.
Let's go. Come on, Scotty. There's plenty of
Field
room
Dreams,
for you.
I'm telling you, I don't know what they put in that custard machine, but it's been the best since I was like 12 years old.
Provinceville
back in a little bit.
Provinceville concessions, man.
It's unbelievable.
I swear to God, when you smell the cheeseburgers there,
Oh, yeah.
he throws a steak on and then gets everybody all wild up and then throws on
They
cheeseburgers.
still the lemon shakes.
I don't know. We'll have to look.
Yeah, well, we'll find out.
I'm Captain Corn Dog. I should be wearing the captain hat. I listen, corn dog connoisseur right here.
I love
But
a
there's
good
only one
corn
way you
dog.
can cook a corn dog.
No, there's many ways to cook a corn dog.
What are the other
All
ways?
right, so you can microwave a corn dog if you
Oh.
have them in the packages, right? But then there's the perfect corn dog that they have at Provinceville Concessions where they fry
Is it
it.
like sourdough?
I don't know what it is. It's one of those things. It's like magic. It's
It's just
love.
love
And
from-
and when she handed me my corn dog yesterday, it was like a gift from heaven. Right here, sizzling. She goes, the steak might be hot, which tells me,
Talk about what Siggy had to do outside of the.
oh, a little behind the scenes YSN. So we eat before the game. And then the second game, I'm going and I'm making copies of the roster. Well, first game ended at like 7:45. So Chet Cooper gives the old, we're going to try to go at 8. So Siggy and I were like, you know what? we got time. We don't have a whole lot to do. We just got to get those rosters. So they give me the rosters. One is on a little like lineup sheet, like you get in like Pony League, like you get from YSU, the legit ones. The majority of them come in on a piece of paper that is given to them. They can write the names, the manager, there's spaces for everything. Literally, the red carpet rolled out for them. Pola decided they're not going to use that. They're just going to go with the lineup card. So they give the lineup card, which is cool. It's fine. So I'm taking these things to the copy machine. I like to think I'm pretty good with technology. So Siggy goes, hey, you want anything? I said, yeah, I'd love an ice cream cone right now. Let me go make these copies and I'll be out. Time it up perfect. Get the ice cream cone, go back in, finish broadcasting the game. I go into the door to make the copy. Siggy goes around to get the ice cream. I put the first page in. It comes in. Copies out perfect. The second page, the little page, this guy, throw it in the copy machine that just, sucks it up and then shoots it out. It sucked it up. It didn't shoot it out. And then all of a sudden there's like bells and whistles blowing and I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? So apparently it has to be a certain size.
Yeah.
And it's got to be able to catch. Well, thank God Chad Miller was there. Except for the fact that when Chad Miller and I get together, we just start talking shop. So probably 5-8 minutes goes by. Chad fixes it, makes my copy, helps me out. Solid dude, 5-star Yelp review. I walk out and I'm on the way out. I'm like, thanks, Chad. Appreciate it. Open the door. Siggy's standing there with 2 ice cream cones. One's half eaten. The other one he's licking. And he has the meanest face on right now. He's like, just looking at me. I was like, what'd you do to my ice cream cone? You were in there for so long, chatting it up. He was so mad. So mad. He goes, ice cream melts all over my hand. Thought I was going after that. Long story short, Siggy ate my ice cream cone, and I may have called him chubby. I don't know. I threw it in there. I just thought it was so funny. Siggy stepping up and helping me out last night. He loves it. I think he's in love with doing Little League baseball now because it's a different atmosphere.
It is. It's completely different. And, you've seen the different atmospheres that you could go through traveling with Youngstown State. Mm-hmm. You got to see the atmosphere at LSU and when we were there.
Oh, my gosh.
The University of Houston. And then you go to a Little League baseball game, and you got maybe 5-6 rows of bleachers. You got the entirety of the field covered in chairback seating all the way around the fence. And you got fans sitting there, gnawing on the fence, screaming, come on, Johnny, we need to hit here, Johnny. It's just a completely different atmosphere. And, it brings that excitement to the game of baseball and something that you kind of miss, growing up as a kid and playing in.
I think, the special thing about, here we go. The top of the 6th last night was the best. He kept talking about the whole way home.
To it. He's loving it.
He sent me, I'm going to show you a text message. I'm not going to show you. I'm going to tell you it because there's some things we talk about that are private. But I will say this is at what time was it? It was, I can scroll back. 8:11 a.m. Chris Sigler. So if you have a bad day or not in a good mood, go back and watch the top of the 6th inning from the 10U game last night. It's impossible not to smile when watching it. Good stuff. He's hooked. Yeah. He's hooked. And he got good games. I'm going to preface it. He got good games.
I've seen some games that aren't as...
Those 17-2 games, those are rough.
Those are tough.
Those are rough. Yeah, we're digging from the bottom of the barrel just to try to keep it interesting.
Tough.
But Siggy, you could see it. He was almost one of those 10-year-olds last night. Like, so excited. He was engaged.
You could hear it in your guys' voices.
Yeah.
How excited you were. And, even like a small chopper behind the mound, it's just like, oh, it makes a fly.
Well, there was reasons behind that, but we'll leave we'll leave that for another time. Maybe an adult Youngstown After Dark on YSN. But it's to me, this is the best stuff we do. And people, it's funny to me because when we started this, people laughed at us. Why would you want to do Little League games? Why would you want to? We've done coach pitch. I did a T-ball game. That was kind of rough.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. But when you see these kids and the amount of time and effort, this is a culmination of an entire year for them. And you and I think about a year and it goes by like this. Mm-hmm. For them, Think about when you're younger. Think about how long it took to go from Christmas to Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Think about how long a season of baseball felt when you started in May and you finished midway through July. That was your entire year.
Yep.
And these kids, time goes slower. Everything means a little more. You know, when they're 10 years old, their whole life depends on that one at bat.
Yep.
And you could see it culminate last night. And watching Chris go through it for the first time, to me, was very cool. Because, and this is going to sound weird, it's like going to Disney World for the first time with your son or daughter. You know what's going to happen, but you see it through their eyes for the first time. Watching that happen through Chris's eyes and see the excitement that he brought. And there's no prep. I mean, you did as much prep for tonight's game as you humanly possibly could.
All I could do.
There's no prep. It's all reaction.
Yeah.
You know, besides being able to say that Shohei Ohtani is the best, or is this guy's favorite team, or whatever. It's one of those things where you just kind of let yourself be part of it. You know, they invite you to be there, and you just kind of try to blend in a little bit. Tonight, the coolest thing will be when they're doing their chants on each side. And everybody that has the Seven Nation Army chant, the and they're jumping up in the dugout. And I'm not going to lie to you. There was a little guy. I don't know if it was a 9 or 10. I think it was the 9 last night. Nope, it was the 10U. In the box. He's doing this.
Oh, the Poland kid.
Yeah, it was Stone Garcia.
Lefty, yeah.
And it looked like
on that bunt.
Yeah, it was like unbelievable. I'm sitting there, I'm like, what is going on? This kid is like getting himself hyped in the box. He's bouncing back and forth. Great. It can't. That's why it's so hard for me to listen to the parents. And if that was my kid that was jumping back and forth, my day, my week, my month, my year is made.
And that's the only place in the world you could do that.
Yep.
Because if you would do that anywhere else, you're hit by the next pitch.
Yep. I agree. Scotty, wake up. I saw that. You jumped.
I did jump.
What is going on?
Got me once today.
Let's get to the Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? Here we go. It's the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by our friends at Joe Dickey Electric. If you need anything, commercial, residential, anything electrical, go to DickeyElectric.com. Get signed up today. Get it checked out, folks. It's going to be fall soon. You don't want to fall into some bad situations with electricity. Make sure you get checked out by our friends over at Joe Dickey Electric. Tell them your sports network and yours truly, DJ Yoakley, Richie Giuliano, and of course, Scotty Mincher. They might be a little confused if you say Scotty sent you, but they'll know exactly what you're doing here on the Power Hour. All right, Scotty, what is your spark?
My spark for today, I think it just has to do with, all this great coverage of baseball on the network. And it has to do with something you said just a second ago, DJ. Like sometimes, as you know, I'm a big Cleveland sports fan, but I think sometimes I should, and I've started, and that's what I love about here. I've started to shift my focus more on, what's happening locally.
Yeah.
It's what we're about. And to your point, I think the Little League game, because there's more variables, in my opinion, there's an increased chance of error. That makes it more of a spectacle. I think sometimes it makes for a better show and more entertaining. So I guess my spark would be, get off of the umpires' backs, because I think, when there is error by kids, it's not always a bad thing, and it could build some character.
Yep.
So
I agree with you.
My spark.
All right, Rich.
I think my spark has to go to Quinn. He's filled out all 29 games for this weekend for the 14U NABF championships at Bobstein Park. And I think that's one of the most challenging things that he has to deal with throughout the summer, because a lot of people are taking vacations. They're starting to get back into school. You got the college kids that are going back to school, and maybe even some of our high schoolers that are starting to get on their way in their journey. So, he's already got all 29 filled out for Wednesday, and it starts tomorrow. So I think 5:30 I'll be on the call at scene 1, and then 8 o'clock. And then we've got 6 games tomorrow night, and it ranges from Thursday all the way to Sunday. So
we give him a lot of flack, but my gosh, is he good at his job?
Yeah, he is.
He is amazing. And he did it from Kentucky.
Yeah.
Did it all from Kentucky. Welcome back, Quinn. Happy to have you back. Got to see him for a little bit. Got to break some literal bread with him, with the mashed potatoes next door, swamped up in some beautiful gravy. It was delicious.
You guys ever see the movie Sling Blade when he talks about French fried potatoes?
That's what you had, Scotty. I had to clean your shirt off because you had chicken all over you.
On French fry day.
You had it on French Fry Day. You had JoJo's.
Yeah,
Some kind of communist. What do you?
I love America. Don't call me a communist.
On French Fry Day, you got JoJo's.
I'm so happy a really pretty girl didn't walk by, because
that's what I told you, man.
I would have been like,
you were right in front of the window like a mannequin, and you had chicken all over you.
Yeah.
I got you, buddy. Don't worry.
Bad, but
we got you squared up.
You had my back.
Always, always. Pretty girls, they're all over you, man. They saw that captain's hat, and they're like, love some Scotty. Mine is going to be to close out the show. So today was the day that we put out our invitation for people to join YSN, and already we've had an overwhelming response. I cannot wait. My favorite time of year is meeting new people that love what we do, want to get involved, want to be the next Richie Giuliano. And that's what gets me fired up. They want to be the next person on the Power Hour, the next person who's calling games for X, Y, or Z. It gets me fired up because, honest to God, not to get too emotional, I teared up today just thinking about the people and how far we've come from doing one game a week to doing, Quinn said he said 32 games week 1 in football between Thursday and Friday alone.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's going to be bananas.
Yeah.
And that's barring maybe another team or two added to the network. So if you'd like to join our team, if you'd like to be part of what we do, whether it be on this content producer, which is a writer, a graphic designer, whatever it may be, we're looking for you. And we're looking to make sure that we keep things local, like Scotty was talking about. We want to make sure that we're highlighting and praising and giving a platform to these kids that you're going to bump into at the Taco Bell or the grocery store or the drugstore or whatever it may be in your communities. We're looking to give them a platform, and we think you can help. If you have a passion for sports locally, if you feel like sports is in your DNA, just like the rest of us do, it's time to make the jump. It's not as hard as you think it is. I don't think we make it look easy. Maybe some people do. The guy in that gray shirt over there makes it look pretty simple. But others, we're just trying to be a family that helps out our communities and the organizations and schools. So if you'd like to be part of our team, they're paid positions. Come on over, ysnlive.com, or easier, you can message us on our social medias, or you can email us at info@ysnlive.com. We are looking forward to seeing you soon. That's going to do it for our show here today. Thanks to Richie and Scotty. Thanks to Super Dave out in the lobby there, making sure Scotty gets here on time and is always here on Wednesdays. Tomorrow we'll have a great show for you. We'll have the 9U champion crowned here tonight. So we'll talk about them tomorrow right here on the YSN Power Hour. Stay safe. YSN thanks you